first reopening of schools. So it appears like really schools are going to reopen after all. We will discuss a bit about that. And of course, the main conversation this afternoon is as regards the chaos we saw in Murang'A. The political temperatures are rising in the country. Is it time perhaps to tone down on it? It's about 2 years towards the election, and nobody really understands this or the situation we're finding ourselves in. Unfortunately, the loss of 2 lives during the chaos at Keno, Murang'A County. Let me introduce the panel that will help me discuss some of the issues that are incurred. I have Wanjohi, who is also with us in studio, was with us a week ago. Yes, I have Eric Ragalo and also Kamau with us in studio. Maybe each one of you can say hi and then we begin.
Good evening, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here.
Karibu.
Evening, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here to discuss what affects our country, and let's have sober politics.
All right.
Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to Taifa Dialogue, where we tackle real issues. Let's have a lovely one this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, all for coming. Probably would take just your views very quickly as regards the direction by the Ministry of Education. Minister George Mago has been accused of flip-flopping as regards the reopening of schools. And finally, he's come out to tell us grade 4, class 8 and form 4 students are going to reopen schools. Your reaction very quickly.
Thank you very much, DJ. It's a wonderful afternoon.
Yes.
When it's good to hear that the schools are finally reopening. It was a long time coming, and I want to commend the ministry and the entire committee that has seen it good to reopen schools. However, the big question in everyone's mind is, how will we achieve such things as social distancing?
Okay.
How are school are we kind of well prepared to reopen schools as soon as Monday?
All right.
Do we have enough water running in our schools?
So you think this is a rash decision?
Not really, but I want to imagine that the CS is well informed, and there are plans underway between today and Monday to make sure that schools are well equipped, that our teachers are well informed on how to handle COVID cases, that we ensure that we have adequate masks, sanitizers, and water in our schools,
yes,
that we have enough space to accommodate and ensure that the social distancing, and finally, to ensure that the schools that closed down, that is private schools, we ensure that they are back to business as soon as possible, so that come Monday, we'll not have kids stranded.
Okay. Eric Regalo, I remember when we were discussing about the after the reopening of the country, and we were talking about the reopening of schools, and you were telling us this country is not ready for the reopening of schools. We've seen the Ministry of Education adopt a phased out reopening. Do you think it's a strategy that will work? Or do you think it's a wise move by the Ministry of Education?
Well, it depends how you look at it.
Okay.
I'm looking at it in both sides of not okay and okay.
Okay.
Not okay is what is the goal of opening the school? Is it just to go and prepare students for exams, then they go to the next level?
Okay.
That would be okay, because if they don't move, then we are having a backlog behind, which is going to be too big to handle, and the government has strained economic times. So that is fine. The other part is, I hope when we go for grade 4, form 4, and class 8, meaning other amenities in the schools can also be changed to be dormitories and other classes.
Okay.
So what will happen when the other guys come? Because I'm very sure there will be a lot of distancing, even how they sleep and what have you. So are we prepared for these other laws to join in? And if they join in, are we having enough amenity to handle them? I hope up to now schools have mini hospitals in the institutions, because what I've seen with schools, they have a small room where they put Panadol, Piriton, crepe bandage, very few things, and they call that one a dispensary.
The ministry says it has linked each school with a health facility.
Linking is a story. Let me be honest, this is our country, and it hurts when they want to tell us hogwash.
Okay.
Yes, linking is a story. I'll give you an example. We were talking of 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. I want you to link a school in Northeastern Province to a health facility.
Yes.
How is the distance from the school to the health facility?
Obviously, very.
Let's look at things practically. The biggest county is Turkana.
Yes.
Where is a school and where is the health facility? Okay. So what are we linking? When you link, when we are in somewhere in Ruiru, when you link, that's fine. Around Ruiru, we have too many hospitals. You can link. Communication levels of roads and are okay.
Yes.
So you are linking what? So when we talk to one man, one vote, one shilling, that's why I'm coming back now.
Okay.
Can you see how it is affecting? Can't we make other areas more possible linkable now than those areas we wanted to give more money, whereas they have roads and many other things?
Right,
I still go back to
fair
that.
point you raised. Kamau, as a parent, because I know in one way or another you might have to take your daughter to school at this point with the reordering of the reopening of schools. Are parents ready?
Thank you, JJ. I think it's not a question of whether parents are ready,
Yes,
or the students are ready. It's just a matter of preparation. Now we have a new norm where what we used to happen in school won't happen again. We'll have to keep distance.
Yes.
We'll have to sanitize. We have to observe all the protocols and guidance, because now we are starting a new history in learning where we have COVID-19.
yes.
Having said that, I would want to talk in my friend Eric,
Yes.
and tell him that change is better. And as a parent, we have to tell our children that it's time to go back to school. I think the only thing that the only challenge we'll have over the weekend is buying new uniforms.
Yes.
And talking to teachers,
Yes.
because now our children are well fed. And they've been home. And number two is when they reopen, the teachers should more concentrate in taking them into physical education.
Yes.
As you observe in the pandemic seasons, even the playing where they go to outside for some physical exercise, it has not been happening. So I think between now and December, they should not rush them into books.
Okay.
Let them get engaged into physical education, get their mind back to school, because they're gonna go to school anyway. Even if we say Northeastern doesn't have a connection between health centers, children have been going to school, and COVID-19 is not going anywhere. It's with that to stay. So I welcome the move, and I urge parents not to even try to put any political statement into the lives of our children.
All right, before I come back to you, Wanjohi, probably to Ragalo, and probably almost the same question I'd asked Kamau, in terms of preparedness, because now you look, obviously there are economic hardships we're talking about because of the effects of Corona. Most of these parents had taken their children, or their children are studying in private schools, and have also had their own fair of challenges in terms of the resources they have, as it were. How practical is it going to be, and how are we going to see parents who have their children in private schools cope with the reopening, set on Monday?
It's going to be very difficult.
Okay.
I remember private school run by what is available in their accounts. Public schools are different. They even get some money from the government. Subsidies are always there. But private school, you open and you have lesser students to manage. It's more expensive to manage lesser students than all of them. And that's why number help them in maintaining their school. What I'm saying also, we've forgotten in the today's business daily, the headline was that Kenyans were borrowing 1 billion per day during the COVID season.
The government was, or Kenyans?
Kenyans.
Okay.
Me na wewe. If you saw that, 1 billion a day. So what are we trying to say? Are parents having money? So what was happening when they were borrowing? You'd find many of them had been laid off, told to go home, we will come back when things become better. Some of them, things have not become better anyway. So we are going to see a system where, and this is a trouble, we are told you cannot just change your kid nowadays. For you to change your kid from a school to another school, is that story of there is a number attached to a school, something like that I was told. So moving kids...
The personal identification number for...
moving kids is going to be very difficult. And people don't have money, and some kids are almost as far as Kitale private schools. So how do they go?
All right.
And which buses are they using? Some school used to come and pick students from Nairobi, Uhuru Park. You would see sometime in Uhuru Park, it will be like a meeting of schools, and the buses and kids are going to school. Is it going to work again? So all these times have changed, and we are going to see people going back to the government schools. Trust me. Secondly, lesser or no private schools functioning. Yes.
In terms of management of logistics, because it's obviously a very serious question when it comes to management of logistics, and probably the government has not come out so clear. But before we even talk about logistics, Wanjohi, grade 4, class 8, form 4, it appears like the only thing government is interested in this time is to manage transition. Because obviously these are the people who are bound to do, or who are bound to do an exam by the end of the year. So all the government wants to do with this class of students is to manage transition.
To a large extent, before I answer you, JJ, I think I need to say something concerning the way maybe parents may be inconvenienced to a large extent. One thing, private schools. One, kids who go to private schools, I know by Monday, teachers expect them to come and pay. But at the moment, whatever parents have is purely for survival, getting a meal on the table and waiting for the next day. Two, when COVID struck, and fortunately the borders were opened at some point.
Yes.
Me and you know that very many people relocated. You have people who moved from the towns and went to the villages. Now, did the CS consider that these people, come Monday, their kids need to be in school? Will these people be accommodated in their nearby schools, or what will they now have to come back to the towns? What will happen? Bearing in mind that last year there was last year but one, 2018, the government launched a digital registration system called NEMIS, whereby all kids in a certain schools were registered and known to be bona fide students of that institution. So you cannot just move from any institution anyhow. So that will be a big challenge between now. I don't know what will happen between now and Monday.
All right.
We wait for miracles. On now to your question. I don't know what logic they used to ask the class, that is grade 4, 8, and Form 4 to come back. And it's very unfortunate that the only thing the government thinks is exams and transition. It's very unfortunate. And I want to suppose that what they had in mind is right. They consulted enough. Because from where I sit, I foresee difficult times.
All right.
I foresee difficult times.
All right.
Yes.
Come on. The logistics, because I'm reading at the press conference, the press released by the Ministry of Education, and particularly point 1, mandatory use of face masks, monitoring of the body temperature for all learners, staff, and all other persons accessing the schools, hand washing, and observance of high levels of hygiene. Where there is no running water, schools will use sanitizers. Already we see a crisis. Hold on a minute.
Sorry, it was
already there is a crisis, Kamau, in terms of, how children from private schools, probably there will be an inflow of them into public primary schools. And then you have the difficulty you're talking about, with parents paying school fees and even buying masks for their children. And now there's that one. There will be social distancing, there will be all that. But there's also the question of transport. Has the government really thought about, or the 1 week they gave teachers, because they went back on the 28th? Yes, 28th of September. Has that 1 week been adequate enough to prepare for the reopening of schools on Monday?
Thank you, JJ. As a parent, the way I look at it, in matters logistics, the government is reopening schools gradually. It's not doing it wholesome. So this is a one-step, 1 week start school and see the challenges they have. And all the protocols that you've seen even our children at home, they cannot even move out without using a mask or the provision of water. And the thing on the private schools, in fact, the owners of private schools now, they are not so much into you going to pay fees right now. The basic question is, will we have enough students to manage our institutions?
Okay. And that is for private schools?
That's for private schools.
Okay.
what they want to see is to see the students stream in to schools, knowing that at the end of the day, they will march into whatever fees they will be paying to the institution. On the social distancing in school, that one I see a challenge because when children are together, just like most of us, and now we can 1, 2, 3 things occasion to distance ourselves, it won't be possible.
Okay.
So what we need to do and to observe, like you're saying, is the temperature. In the morning, like they parade, you observe that one. Now, if that is a gradual opening, it will determine by the 2nd, 3rd week whether COVID will have spread out from home to school or from school to homes. Having said that, because this is a new norm that we are going to have, the government, and I would urge the government policy makers, they should consider partnering with the government partner with the private schools, just like it was there before, and see how they can partner with them, see how much they can put into these private schools, maybe even to paying teachers, because I see the challenge also. Those teachers who were put off because of COVID and they went out doing their business, half of the teachers won't go back teaching because they've seen now this thing we call teaching, and the government is not supporting us, and the government want results from us. It is not working. Okay. So I would urge, and I would also, because I'm a parent, I would plead with the government and I would pray that they see a need to partner with the private investors in school so that we can have expanded public schools that can cater for most of the children.
Increase of capacity.
Yes.
Eric Gallo, you appear to have a problem with the last sentence, that the schools that don't have running water, they should provide hand sanitizer. And probably, maybe what the government was looking at when it was saying grade 4 and class 8 plus Form 4 students reopen is probably try and manage that, because not so many public schools have running water. And maybe that's why they said a small group of people open, because that way probably the government can buy hand sanitizers for them.
Why do we have a government?
To protect us.
Provision of necessity
Yes.
is the government. The government should not tell me, why do we have parents? Why do they give birth to us? So that they do what they must do. Before you give birth, you plan. You don't just give birth. You plan. I'm going to get a kid. This kid is going to school. This kid will wear a uniform, will do what? So you don't just get kids. Okay? And that's why we have family planning.
Yes.
And that is why the government also have Ministry of Planning or Department of Planning.
Yes.
So when you tell me at the schools that don't have water, they should use hand sanitizer, which is more cheaper.
Running water is cheaper.
Then why are you telling me hand sanitizer? How long are they going to have hand sanitizer daily up to next year March when they're doing their exam? So are we really thinking when we are writing some of those things down there? Before you write that sentences, have you even thought you are actually annoying some minds of parents like me? No.
Are we likely to see a defiance from parents?
Yes.
When Monday comes?
Yes, because hand sanitizer is going to be put on parents' what? Fee. That parents should chip in some money to support the school in provision of hand hygiene. Hand hygiene is obvious. We were taught when we were young.
Yes.
How did we manage? Remember when you were young, bro?
Yes.
We used to have a problem. Very big problem was latrine na minyoo. Then when you were young, during Moi time, tulikuwa tunafunzwa kunawa mkono. If you remember, bro. It was kunawa mkono, and then there was this provision in the government that every village must build a latrine. So latrines were being built all over.
Yes.
Just because everyone, even elder people, had minyoo. So government was there to support in doing this. Where did the Harambee go? Where the government used the local capacity to go in schools that don't have piped water. Wazazi wanajichimbia mashimo, wanajiekea mapipe. You remember that time we used to make gabions na tunajiekea maji. Ukianza kuniambia ti hand sanitizer itanunuliwa.
I think Eric, on that one, someone might be watching, and that could be your child. Tonight or this day, it is not time to talk like that. As a parent, you have to brace. You have to embrace this thing. Things will never be normal again. And what the ministry is giving there are basic things which we needed to have in 1960. We need to have water.
Yes.
We need to have a high hygiene.
But elementary failures of government then.
In the civilization.
Yes.
So if that has not gotten into one of the students, my daughter, my son, your daughter, your son, and you've not put them in mind for that, don't get them back to school. Because it's also a responsibility of a parent. Whether the government provides, where you took your child, be it public, be it private, you as a parent, you're the most and you're the core of that responsibility. So now you know whether they're going to take them back to the public school or private. So on this one, let's juggle our minds as parents and the government joining hands together and the public. So that we can have better results, that we can have better citizens than us going forward. Because if now I tell,
Let me ask you a quick question, probably building from where what Ragala was trying to build, and you're a parent.
Yes.
Would you feel comfortable? And I don't want us to use the show to create fear and pandemonium for nothing, but would you take your daughter to school without doubt on Monday on whether you are ready or whether the government is ready?
I want to be in a position where before there was COVID, I would send my son, my daughter to school. But by the time they are coming back, they are coughing like a what? Like a buffalo. And I know that came from school. There was no one in my family who had a Homa.
Yes.
Okay? And I was comfortable to take care of that child and take that child back to the school. I'm not saying that COVID is going to attack schools, but we must build better mindset to these students. Going back to school, tell them, now, okay, you'll have mask. And I know in that school, there's provision of water and this and that and that. That is guideline and protocols to use. But also, be on the lookout. Keep your distance. Because we have to put in their minds that this is not going to be the normal thing.
All right.
So, because they have to go through this system. But also, I would urge the Ministry of Education. We've seen the capacity and the ability our children have. In the curriculum, let's try to do more of practical. If we've changed the way they are going to be in school, let's also change the way they learn. Because we've seen they learn so many things and a lot of so many things doing this practically. So it's also a time for Ministry of Education, though it takes 10 years for Ministry of Education to implement a change, to learn to teach them practical and forget about
to face out the theoretical teaching. And probably that is what the CBC is doing, as it were. Wanjohi, the government so far, what it has told us is class 8, grade 4 and form 4 students. Do you think it has a choice, as it were, moving on till March? Because I see, I think there will be the exams in March next year. Do you think the government has a choice, or what it has to do is to manage this 3 clusters of students up until March? Do you think there's room for other students to be admitted into these schools when we have such unpreparedness like they point out?
Thank you, JJ. I think the government has no choice. And going forward, I don't think there's room for accommodating other students from in the other classes. There's no room for the same, not unless post-March, we are certain that we have the vaccine in place so that we can go back to the normal times. Again, the move by the government to reopen the grade 4, 8, and Form 4 is, to a larger extent, a move to first. I want to admit that the government, to an extent, has bowed to certain pressures because we have people from different quarters. For example, Nat Sekjan yesterday during the World Teachers Day pushed the government to reopen schools. So I don't want to suppose that the CS has bowed to pressures. I want to imagine that whatever he has done is well informed. However, going back to our constitution, we have something we call the socio-economic rights that are well captured in Chapter 4. One of those social rights that everybody is entitled to enjoy is education. And it's the business of the government to ensure that all of us go through school. That is a basic education. It's not the business of sole proprietors that own private school. It's not the business of parents. It's not the business of sanitizers providers. So all the measures that the government has put in place to ensure that learning continues, the government must step up its abilities to make sure that all these things they have outlined, masks, sanitizers, water, they provide. Because it's their business to ensure that kids are in school. period. Yes.
Ragalo, as a medic, very quickly as we wind up on this conversation, I'm just wondering about face masks and children. And how long is a mask supposed to be used? If it's reusable, after how long, so that you can wash it? And on whose expense shall it be?
Ideally, you're not supposed to reuse a mask.
Okay. Even if it's washable?
You see the surgical masks used in the hospitals, especially in theater.
Yes.
Once you finish your procedure, you're supposed to throw it away as you get out. Okay. N95 are supposed to be worn for around 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay.
But if at all you use it, you need to air it out so that it does what? It does dry with the air. The question is, and this is the biggest question, we're having kids going to school. Remember, up to Form 4, and all of us went to these schools. Some students are not hygienically prepared to be with others. Some are habitual dirty students. I'll use that word. Yes. And they are with others. Someone's mask will turn yellow from blue, you know.
Yeah.
Who is going to, how is it going to be practical? Some of these students, I'll tell you, need to be taught how to remove, not even to know how to remove. They have to be taught and ensure they remove every day. So how many masks are we going to have? And when you start imagining some of these things, then you tell it's our God will help our kids. Another part of it that is amazing is the hand washing issue. Government was able to buy Bowsers to all those informal settlements where water was not reachable. They were able to open pipes that had been clogged by the water users. You remember some places like South Sea got water for the first time in over 10 years. They were amazed that kumbe kuna kuanga na mifereji kwa nyumba yao na they were. So how hard is it to get water into schools? It's not hard. It's not magic.
They can use water.
There must be water. And I'm using the word must. Because when we were in school, when I was in school, there was a MOI project of water by the year 2000. Ngil was a minister, I think.
Yes.
Water by 2000. We are talking of 2020. It was water
it
to
Ngilo or
every...
Martha Karua?
I don't remember very well.
Yeah, I think
but there was
Martha
a lady
Karua.
minister.
It was Martha Karua.
By 2000, is it? And it was every household should have water.
You're talking by 2000?
It was, yes, I think.
Because Martha Karua became minister for water after 2002.
So it was water by 2000. Because Moi left 2002. Okay? Every household.
Yes.
Kibaki came with electricity, every household. Up to now, I would say many schools have electricity, but not all. But now the question is, how in the world don't we have water in every home, every school, not every home, every school? That one is absurd and that one is not okay. And I don't want to hear a story. This guy, anatetea sana serikali. I don't want to hear a story of a sanitizer.
Yes.
As a medic, I will tell you.
Yes.
Sanitizer is not practicable. Reason.
And you said water and soap are more effective compared to
soap
sanitizer.
and water is original, it is general, and is more effective.
Okay.
Sanitizers, you don't know who makes them. And you see, these schools are going to do procurement on their own. Some of them are going to be laboratory magicians to make their own sanitizers in their own labs in schools. You don't know how much cabs have. You know, I'm being honest how things work.
Yes.
We are in Kenya. Let's not forget. We are in Kenya. People do their own things. Water, you cannot make your own water. Water is water.
All right.
Soap will be soap. Let's even industrial made soap is soap. Let's do this. Let's not give sanitizers.
Okay.
Let's ensure there is water. Because sanitizers, you're going to corrode some people's hands. You're going to make sanitizer without approved what? Alcoholic
my
content.
brother, Eric.
I'm being honest how some things will... Okay, this guy is on the side of things will be okay. Fine.
Let's hear
but
him
me,
out.
I'm on the side, things may not be okay.
Okay. Let's hear. You're being cautiously optimistic.
Yes.
Okay.
My brother, Eric.
Yes.
Not that we don't have diseases in with us. Okay?
There have been other infectious
Not
diseases
that we are
before.
that dirty. Taking your child to whatever school you want, it's your choice as a parent. Don't empty it.
To some, it may not be a choice.
It is. It is.
The summit may not be a choice.
Let me say this. Let me say this, JJ. Daktari here talks about sanitizer. It is upon you as a parent to look at a sanitizer. Or say don't use sanitizer. Use water and soap. And I challenge you, because you've gone back to the days of Moi. We've had this conversation all along. Has you, in whatever way or where you've been, has your leadership put water in that school that your children goes to? Has your management of the private school part put enough water for the students to come and share? The point here is that we are the managers of our students and our children. Now it's upon you, the government, is upon you as a parent to know and to be hands-on with what is happening with your. You cannot leave everything that you're mentioning here, Eric, to the government. A government is not like, say, a manager of your child or
Let me give you an example.
Yes.
Kamau.
Yes.
Very quickly. I went to a public boarding high school.
Yes.
That had running water.
Yes.
But there are times when that water would run out even for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And the school had either to buy the water or we had to run to the nearby stream to fetch that water. And I do not presume by any miracle that is not the norm even now. Probably it has even gotten worse because the scarcity of water has continued to increase with going days.
Yes.
What should happen, typically what should happen to a school like that? Because without water, it's actually a danger in itself when it comes to issues of sanitation.
Now, I know the school you went to, and I know the river you used to go to. There's a river near your school, it's called Mukogai River. I know you used to go down there draw water and carry it with your bucket. I used
At a
to
place
go
called
to
Gathenja.
Yes. And I used to go to a river called Madhioya because I was in Kangema High School. And things are no different even now.
Yes.
But does it mean that our children won't go to school because now the world has opened another pandemic like never before? So
yes, this is never before.
The thing is, what management are we going to apply for our students, our children to go back to school and have a continuous uninterrupted schooling system? Because if we don't do that, because we want clean water and we want them to be walking on a carpet like here, will they ever go to school? Let me say this: when I was in school, and when I got in primary school, nursery school, I was lucky because our primary teacher, our nursery school teacher, would manage us with whatever way, I don't know. We managed it. But when we got to class 1, I never put a pair of shoe. I only got to go to school in a pair of shoe when I was going to high school. Now, this one, there were jiggers then, there were so many other things. But our parents somehow, they managed us even without shoes. Okay?
But we still had jiggers anyway.
We had jiggers. Let's talk the truth. We had jiggers. Now,
however much they tried
that
to
was a
manage
menace.
us.
Was it? Now we have pandemic here. Now, how are we going to manage this, Eric? For my daughter, my son, to have an uninterrupted school.
You appear to be throwing a 70% challenge or responsibility to the parents.
Purely, yes. Because you will know that school, if it's a private school.
But this child is spending the entire day in
Exactly.
school.
Now it's upon you as a parent to know who is the teacher in that school that your child is. There we've gone to work and we've forgotten this one. I'm saying this. The schools are opening gradually. Are we together?
Yes.
And now the government has given you that will open going forward. You know, because it's your child, which school that child goes to. You know the teacher. Just observe and take count of what is happening there. Because all along, we never had the cases of the government coming to check on them. They've given the guideline on how to open. So I'm saying this, and actually it's an encouragement to myself, Eric, who is a parent, on how we are going to accept this new norm. So because school, by the end of the day, has to be open anyway. Yes. And I hope, Eric, I've convinced you had that.
All right. Eric, are you convinced? Very quickly so that we move to the next conversation.
I don't dispute schools must be open.
Yes.
I don't dispute. But I'm hard-pressed to understand how, at this particular time, we would not have water in a public school. I mean, It's absurd.
I think the only bit Kamau has failed is to admit that this is failure of government.
You see,
that
I
55,
don't
7 years
refuse.
later.
Schools should open.
Where I
should be there.
schooled, where I schooled and where my children goes to school, where I schooled from primary school, we've always had water.
You've always had
in
water.
our school in 1980, we had tapped water, and that let me say.
Now
finish.
you're speaking from a position of privilege.
Yes. I'm saying it was a public school.
Yes.
And if you would it's sleeping less like this, the teacher would go to the tap and pour yourself water and come back to class. And by then, the competition between leaders was about who performed better than the other. Vis-a-vis today, we are asking ourselves who killed the other more.
But because you're a leader,
I love what he's talking about.
Because you're a leader.
No, I love what he's talking about.
You went to school where there was water. Are you aware there are other schools, perhaps even near where you went to school,
That's
that
no
don't have
water today.
I will talk from where I sit, right? From where I went to school in our constituency, the progressive leaders that have been there, they've worked into.
How many schools in Iego have water? Because I know you come from Kangema yourself.
I think the only school that doesn't have flowing water, and because of maybe the gravity, is the schools in the upper side of Kirude, because of the flowing up backwards.
So after all, you know a school that doesn't
I
have
know.
water.
But now the government is working towards making sure every school in my constituents has tap water.
All right, Eric, at least he has admitted
Yes,
he knows a
thank
school that
you.
doesn't
And
have
you
water.
see, there is a school down the other side in Ukambani,
Yes.
because now Murang'A is high, Ukambani is low. I'm giving him the right neighbor who doesn't have water, and is just below you here. Okay, so what can we do? It is government to assist these schools now until the end of next year. Until the end of next year, to all schools to have water.
All right.
It's absurd. Even I went to a school that there was no water. We used to go to the river to fetch water and do everything. Good enough, the river was just near us. Okay, St. George's Primary School, so there's a river there, Mokoyo in Ruiro. So we used to have a river there. Then came water toward 1992, there we had water. It's good there was water. Until now there is water. But there are schools that there are no water. Those are I'm crying for. They must have water. They must. And sanitizer coming, yes, but water is more must than a sanitizer.
But in fact, I'm sitting here wondering what kind of schools I went to, because Kamau appears to say the schools he went to in 1980 had water. All I remember in primary school is carrying a jerrycan full of water, or on Fridays going to fetch water from a nearby stream. Anyway, I'm here. Let me give you the closing remark on education, because we've spent like about 40 minutes on education, and that was not what we had planned. But anyway, your closing remarks, so we go to politics.
Lucky to have the last word. To ensure that our kids are safe in school, we need running water. To ensure that our kids go back to school and enjoy equity in learning and many other things, we need running water. And the government must move with haste to ensure between now and Monday, we have water in our schools, we have sanitizers, we have masks. Failure to which resumption will be a very, very difficult thing to achieve.
All right. And probably then, with cautious optimism, like everybody is doing, let's wait for Monday and see what happens, because time will always tell. Now, very quickly, Kamau, because you're a resident of Murang'A County, we saw what we saw over the weekend, the rising of political temperatures. Why are we where we are right now, 2 years towards an election?
JJ, you probably talking to a new Kamau.
Yes.
Having seen what has happened in our county. And I choose to say
yes,
we are in a bad state of affairs.
As a country?
As a country,
okay,
as a county, and as a constituency, as a village, we need to get to know where the rain started beating us. By that I mean, we on last Sunday, 2 weeks ago, when you're calling me, I was in a barrio.
Yes.
And when we were in that barrio,
Nyakahura
was there.
Yes.
When you called me, I was in Nyakahura.
Okay.
And something just was triggered out of someone who shouted out, and every other person ran to see what or to help. and it's escalated into a way that the whole nation watched that incident. There was a barrier of 4, and the other person was being buried in I think like Kipio Nyandarua, which is a bad taste. And if this is what is going to happen going forward, and you want to associate yourself with that, and you want to be called a leader because you're on this side and the other side, and your side won, we better not be leaders. Now it's the time to repent.
Before you go far, because you're still from Murang'A, and you've cited the Nyakahora incident.
Yes.
There was an incident in, I think, Atanga, when the governor, Murang'A, stormed a meeting.
Kandara. It was
Yes,
Kandara.
it was in Kandara.
Kandara,
When the
yes.
governor stormed a meeting by the deputy president.
Yes.
Other than that, we've seen several other incidents of violence in Murang'A County, political violence. What exactly is triggering this, and why has Murang'A become the political capital of violence?
Thank you, JJ. You've mentioned the Kandara.
Yes.
There was one that was in Kiharu sometimes back.
Yes.
There was the one that was in Nyakahura. There was
The
on
confrontation
Sunday.
between Ndindi, Nyoro and the minor commander in the church.
We have a constant figures. And with all due respect and honesty, Ndindi Nyoro, Mheshimiwa from Kiharu, is my buddy, is my good friend. And I know he has a very bright future. But in this whole thing, he's constantly in it somehow.
He's featuring. Okay.
And since the days of Matiba, we've not had any member of parliament in Kiharu who goes back in the second term. But somehow he had managed to get into that level. But if people comes out into consciousness of who we are as a people, he's going to lose what he has gained. By that I mean, there are these outsiders, because Murang'A are very calm people. Murang'A people are not violent. But they are outsiders who always visit our county, and they would call the leaders in there in different names. I'll give you an example. On Sunday, when Mulkomen, the senator of Elgeyo Marakwet, stood to speak, he was speaking against these leaders who are elected by Murang'A people. You understand? I have not seen leaders from Murang'A trail all the way to Elgeyo Marakwet, go there and talk about their leaders openly. You understand? And in the same manner, it is not good for any function to have a tug of war over their resident. It is not good to organize people to attack outsiders. It is also not good for an outsider to come into someone's place, with all due respect.
What is an outsider?
An outsider, I mean, they are leaders elected by the people of Murang'A.
All right.
We have the governor,
Yes.
we have the senator, we have the women rep, we have area MP, we have MCAs, and we have even other influential leaders, business people, church leaders, who are in that set of boundaries. Because you have boundaries when you speak about it. If a leader comes from Nakuru, comes to Murang'A, without even consulting the actual leaders who take roll call on who came and how we can manage, because they are in our lives. If we want to be decent people, civilized, it's good to
during the Sunday chaos, the MP from that area is Alice Wahome.
Go ahead.
Who was there. Maybe probably the other one who is very close to that one, because I think part of Keno is also touches, not Ndindi Nyoro, it's actually Wamaua from Murang'A,
Now,
who was in a parliamentary committee in Mombasa, as she claims.
Now, that church was not in Kandara first. It was
Oh, the
in
church is in
Maragua.
Maragua.
It was in
in
Maragua.
Maragua.
Okay.
It was with all courtesy and honesty and the civilized way. It is good, even if you're coming to my constituency, with all due respect, with the respect to Alice Wahome, the member
For Kandara.
and Ndindi Nyoro, my friend.
And Wamaua says she was not aware of that
She was
function.
not informed. Reason,
The MC was not
the
even there.
Keno lies in 3 constituencies: Kandara,
Kandara.
Maragua, and somehow, let's say Kandara, Maragua, and whatever. Those 2 constituencies.
It's only 2, because
It's
I
only
think it's
2,
Kandara
it borders,
and Maragua.
Now here,
Yes.
we have Alice Wahome, who organizes a church fundraising. She doesn't involve the area MP, and in the essence of the people who are ferried, they were not from Maragua or Kandara. They were from Kiambu, which is in
Nairobi.
Nairobi people.
Alright.
So in this manner, I would say, because you asked me where are we as a nation, we are actually at beyond. We are actually negative as human beings, and that is not good.
All right.
And if this is the leadership that we are looking for, JJ, as a people, as a generation, we've lost it.
The brink of precipice,
Yes.
as you call it. Eric Ragala, of course, there's been finger pointing on who exactly sponsored the violence in Keno. But that doesn't even matter. Of course, it matters because why would you sponsor violence in a town like that? And by the way, Sundays in Keno are very busy because I'm a resident of Murang'A County, and I know what happens there. But wasn't Sunday a very low moment to a country that came out of 07 and 08?
This is what we are calling divisive politics. Divisive politics starts from agreement on the ground. Just like my brother said,
Yes.
the church service was not in Kandara. It was in Murang'A
Yes.
constituency. The MCA of that area where the church service was done was not involved.
But the MCA subscribes to the Kieleweki faction.
It doesn't matter. He has to be involved. It is a service in his place. Secondly, the MP was not involved. Thirdly, the MP from Kandara now crosses to Murang'A to organize a church function in Murang'A without invitation or support from what we call the people on the ground.
And they said next they're headed to Bathuria.
I'll give you
The
another.
thing,
What I'm
the
trying to
MP.
tell you, that
Yes.
is how top-up support goes, not up. I mean down up, not up down. When I would say when a government want to do a project in an area like Gabion preparation, when there is mudslide like in Murang'A, I would say, they always come to the people on the ground to assist in every level in their own way to make their own Gabion. So when you organize such a service without having the MP and everyone involved, do you know what happens? This is what I'm telling you about divisive politics, and I'm not pointing finger. If I was the MP there, I'll feel aggrieved. If I'm the MC, I'll feel aggrieved. And that is obvious.
Okay.
Other than that, if you have a church service, you ferry people using buses to a church service somewhere. They are going, carrying, bringing. What does that show? One, you don't have numbers on the ground, or you're not loved, so you're ferrying people to show might. What are you showing might for? For control. And there are leaders there in the same area. They'll feel aggrieved.
People ferry because they lack support?
I'm saying you're ferrying.
Because hold on, let me hold you to example. People were ferried to BBI rallies, right?
Okay.
Did it mean that the BBI didn't have support in the area they were going to?
BBI rally is different. They were regional. So regional means there was central region rally happening in Meru. So guys in Kiambu were ferried.
So you're saying there would be no people from Meru enough to fill the stadium in
No,
Kinoro,
what
for
I'm
example?
saying, BBI is different because it was regional BBI. So we say we are going to have a central
Let me
province,
give you another example
central
because you're
chapter.
an ODM member. When you go to Kibra, yeah?
Okay.
And I'm sure you are aware of that.
Yeah.
There are people ferried as far as even Thika.
I saw that when we had a Jubilee rally in Kibra. People are ferried. The Kibra people never get ferried. As we go on foot, I ferry myself.
You're simply telling us nobody, this was the first time you saw people being ferried to
what
a
I'm
meeting.
trying to say,
Yes.
when you ferry people to a meeting where you are not hujalikwa na mwenye mji, people will feel aggrieved. People who are from that locality. So some of these things are called ethos. Before you do something, just think, is this going to augur well on the other side?
Let me also ask you a question.
Okay.
What if, and this we are dealing with hypothesis because we don't know the facts as they were. What if the MP is told that we are coming to your area, but because they don't subscribe to the political doctrine, they don't show up for the meeting, and they don't want to show up for the meeting? So should the fundraiser stop?
The fundraiser can be done in a hotel. We've seen fundraisers being done on a hotel for a certain... I mean, do you have to do a fundraiser of a church and bring chaos than doing the same fundraiser in Serena Hotel and bring money?
So are you trying to say the MP sponsored the case?
I'll give you an example. Mama Aida Odinga, did she do a fundraiser the other day?
Yes, she did.
Where was it done?
In a hotel.
In a hotel. For which school?
It's called...
Ogande Girls.
Yes.
Why didn't she go to Ogande? She would have gone. She's the wife of a prime minister, and Ogande is a region where she comes from. In
Nairobi
South
is the
Nyanza.
only place she could mobilize resources very
I'll
fast.
give you an. Why didn't she go to Ogande? She would have gone to Ogande. She just didn't want to do
So
all
were
that.
there chaos in Uganda?
I'm giving an example. She looked at the situation, COVID situation, all these other ethos. That I'm saying, some things you just don't need to go to school.
You know
so
what
she
you're saying?
decided to do a harambe
Eric
in a
Ragala.
hotel and take money.
Yes,
Why
suggestions
won't
you're
this?
making.
And let me ask a question. Have you had any church harambe in Siaya constituency, Siaya County, done by the DP?
None.
None. Are there no churches that need money? Thank you. Have you had any harambe for churches in Eldoret?
You know why I'm trying to poke you?
I'm asking this question. Have you had any church harambe in Eldoret region by the DP?
Yes,
Which one?
we have seen
Which
several, but they would not be as many as they have been in the Mount Kenya region.
Then why do you think churches here are more
That
important
is why
to
I'm
have
poking
money
you,
than
because,
others?
that is why I'm poking you, because in the argument you're advancing, you are hiding from something and you are not saying it outrightly. Say it outrightly what you wanted to say about the Sunday violence.
The Sunday violence was pre-planned.
By who?
Because
And don't mention names, just tell us the facts.
Things don't just happen.
Yes.
In politics, I was taught something that if you see something, it is not a coincidence.
Of course, violence is not spontaneous.
Yes.
So who planned it? And don't mention names.
They were not spontaneous, because if you look at some of these videos on the Facebook, you can see how a tire is getting fire. There's no tire. Tire is lying on the ground. Then fire just explodes on the tire. Do you want to tell me that tire was not doused? So that you just fire it up. Okay? And the video is running.
And we agree. Violence, there's no violence that is spontaneous. It
Yes.
must be planned.
So-
So I'm asking, according to you, who planned the violence? Without mentioning names.
I would only give a hypothesis that, and I'll give you a story of Gatundu. There was once an MP in 1997 who won, who said that he had been kidnapped. And later, what happened, people came to realize he wasn't actually kidnapped. He went and slaughtered a goat, smeared himself blood, and even his car. And the car was taken somewhere on a ditch to show that clearly he was kidnapped.
You're saying the
And
Tanga functionaries planned the violence.
that's how they are shooting themselves to bring sympathy to themselves. And let me now tell you, with all honesty,
Very quickly.
they're not going to have it.
Okay. Let me hear your view as regards the violence on Sunday. Ragalo appears to suggest maybe Kamau being from Murang'A took a very cautious path. Ragalo went direct for the jugular. Who do you blame for the violence?
Well, first I need to tell Eric that he does not manage the DP's diary. So talking of...
But you don't too.
I also don't.
Yes.
So talking with finality that he doesn't attend some church functions elsewhere is neither here nor there. Two, when the church invited the DP with the others, they didn't...
But before you move on, you don't find anything suspect with the fundraisers just happening in Mount Kenya?
Yes.
It's not by coincidence.
It is planned.
The fundraisers.
Or what are you saying? Yes.
The fundraisers in Mount Kenya. Well, we need to understand that we are 2 years to 2022. And there's something peculiar about Mount Kenya. If you go to other regions, for example, in the eastern part of Kenya, we have individuals who have come out and have declared their interest for the presidential seat. Go to Western, the same. Raila Odinga is the man who manages the southern part of Nyanza and coast. So the only region that has no interest, quote unquote, is Mount Kenya.
So you are admitting the Harambes are political?
Very political.
Okay. Move on. Move on.
To the violence.
Yes.
I need to take you back to a political science class a bit. We have one scholar called Aristotle. Aristotle, in his efforts to understand the man, he did say that we men are inherently evil and violent. And that is why, after understanding this, when government was formed, we did have a people who did come to kind of try and massage the ego of a man who is inherently evil and violent. So we here are evil and violent. That is why we have agencies in place to try and make us toe the line.
What's your point?
So the point is, whatever happened in Murang'A, that is cannot be precise. One, from where I sit, I know it was pre-planned.
Okay.
I don't want to go into details and blame this and that other faction, but trying to kind of blame it on the DP, as some of the people in this panel are trying to say, it's kind of not okay, and it's very stupid if that is it.
Yes.
If that is if we want to blame it on one Ndindi and I don't want to go
Alice Wahome.
Alice Wahome.
Yes.
On,
and I said let's keep off names for now.
okay. Assuming that one will make some will get some mileage out of violence is silly. It's very silly.
So according to you, you're also you taking corners. You know, I had to smoke out Ragalo from the corners he was taking. So I also want to smoke you out. Who planned this violence according to you? There were only two factions in Murang'A. It was Kieleweke or Tangatanga. So who do you think planned the violence?
The church invited the Tangatanga faction. So the only people who would have come to try and stop the fundraiser or kind of bar the DP from accessing Keno, Kieleweke.
With what interest?
You know, we talk of politics being about perception. And people who were kind of captured on Sunday, kind of instigating violence, some of who are said to have come from Kiandutu, that is in Kiambu County.
Yes.
And for your information, we have bus, the bus company that was said to ferry people to Keno, ply that route. So it's not, you don't come here and try.
But they are owned by a functionary in Tangatanga.
Yes, yes, but they apply that route. We have bus, you can get a bus from Nairobi to Keno.
But who owns the buses?
We're not mentioning names.
No. I'm not saying the name.
Yeah.
The functionary owning the buses is from which side? Kieleweke or Tangatanga?
But they're in business. And if you have a business, a bus on the road, and you find people going to a certain destination, you carry them.
Fair enough.
Let me say this.
Yes.
My colleague here is a young man, and you know I have a problem with the way young man.
You have a problem with young people.
Young people, how they look at things. On Saturday, on Friday, I was attending Barrio at Kangema, and there was similar situation that was planned by the Tangatanga group that week.
Which barrier?
There was a barrier for a Boda guy.
Oh.
I'm talking about home matters now, and why you should not even do politics, that deadly politics, with your locals. And when we realized that they've planned for our area MP not to speak, they had planned
the MP for Kangema?
The MP for Kangema.
Okay.
There was a plan, there's a meeting that was held in Karen, and it was in social media. And one of the aspirants, Kangema, had to talk to the Boda guys that when the area, it is in the news, stands to speak, you boo him. And that went through to the administrative, and the guy who was conducting the barrier was told, let's not do politics. And that was not heard. I'm reporting it here. And that day, there were two young men who had committed suicide in my village, in our village. And when I met with the people there, I told the management, the CDF management, the office of Honorable Sabina Chege and the area MCA, we have to look into this thing. The CDF chairman and one of the managers there, we drove to the village, which happens to be my local village. And I got to the two homes, which the young men had committed suicide, but I didn't get home. That is my point. I didn't go to see my parent. And when I called my mother back after we finished what we're doing at night, told her, I was in your area, and she asked me, how would you come home and not come to the to say hi? But I told her I had people we were working with, so I could not have gotten to your home. She told me, next time you come in this place, make sure you come home. What I did on Saturday, I went to see her, my mom. Okay, we sat there with my father, and we were talking about what was happening. I'm talking about real things that are happening. People are committing suicide. because of the expectation that have been shown by these people, whether myself or any other person. I cannot remove myself from that certainty that we who call ourselves leaders, who call opinion leaders, with the aspect of these guys says we're in business, want to do business, want to do politics with their people. And when I was listening to my mother, she cautioned something that, President Uhuru had said kumi yangu na kumi ya huyu. Lakini nikiona, because she was putting in Kikuyu, I'm trying to put it in Swahili. Lakini nikiona vile kunaenda, kuna mtu anaenda kwa mwingine. Unaona? And this particular guy called President Uhuru Kenyatta is just quietly somewhere and not saying much. But whenever you put a statement like the one my brother was trying to say, he's saying those buses do business along the way. Let me tell you, if we are not careful with our statements, and like you said, with all due respect, not mentioning name and considering each other, even if someone sinned yesterday, let's get together, hold hands among ourselves in this side and the other, and call ourselves brothers.
Let me ask you a question.
Let me finish that statement, because if you put me that, I'm going to forget what I'm saying. Please,
go ahead.
The leaders in North Lift, bishops and religious leaders, Muslim and all denominations, they've met today. And they've issued a statement, and they've said in North Rift that let's not call each other names. Let's, if your name and your JJ is Eric and whoever, let's call ourselves brothers and sisters. Forget about the hustling. Forget about the dynasties. Because that is the only way we can cool this temperature and move on. Come on with the question.
Okay. Hold on a minute. I know you get a moment to respond. And I understand the caution with which you're approaching the violence you saw in your county, Murang'A County. You talked about several faces that have been featuring in the violence you've seen in Murang'A County. Unfortunately, they don't just come from one side. Sure. Even the other side has people who are instigating violence. We'd want to hear you, because you were in a meeting with some of them yesterday, where you issued a press statement.
Yes.
I would want to understand, moving forward, other than the threats of nobody should come here, I will be the MC of, how are you going to bridge the divisive politics that are amongst the leaders of Murang'A County, not outside, but even Murang'A County in itself, its political leadership is divided. How did you plan to bridge the divisions? Because I think those are the spreaders of the chaos we're seeing in the county.
Thank you, JJ. I've always not, as you know, I actually don't prescribe to William Ruto's fashion, because I've mentioned, and you know, I am one of the guys who says he should wait for his time to come, and I'm always not in the majority. And now here, I'm going to be the hummingbird. What we need to do as leaders and as people from Murang'A in particular is to get together, preach peace. We've existed for these many years as together. That is the starting point. Whether in your Kieleweke, Tanga, or where you want to go or who you are supporting, we need to call each other as the opinion leaders, as leaders, as church ministers. This is the time that you awake, come together, forget about which side you are, forget about the politics. Know that also the region part, there is also you, where, as in Kikuyu say, I don't know whatever to use, where you're born. That you need to respect. And again, going forward as Kamau, and from where I sit, let's not do politics with our children, with our families, with our friends, with our neighbors, and whoever is around you. If you can do politics, do a politics of, like we've mentioned when you're talking about education, on competition. That this leader brought us water in this school. This other one improved education, like the days of JJ and John Njoroge Mishuki. This guy gave us water. This one built this school. This one gave us road. This one brought us this cash crop. But now when you get to a competition of that, you are not the one who killed that person, and you're the one who killed that person. So we are going to elect you because you didn't kill. You know, but you participated in the emotions of someone getting killed. That's where you got your money.
Fantastic.
I'm saying, let's get together as a people. And if this takes me as Kamau to take this call alone, I'm going to do it.
You're going to take it.
Thank you.
Fantastic. That's wisdom. That's wisdom. Eric Ragala, you appeared to blame the violence in Murang'A to Tanga Tanga, and have a quick question for you because you talked about the local MP not being informed. There was a time in Migori County, the president, somebody threw a shoe at the president at a function in Migori. You remember?
Was it the president?
Yes, it was the president in the company of Governor Okodobado, who was eating mosquito nets. Was the Rongo MP present? Then was Dalma Satieno, if I'm not wrong.
But you see, the governor was a governor
Hold on a
of
minute.
the whole area.
Was the local MP there?
The governor is a governor, is an MP of that area.
I like the way you're changing goalposts. Anyway, very quickly, tell me something, because there's a pattern. I'm sure you've been able to watch the politics of Murang'A. They're very interesting somehow. You've seen the violence as in these functions that we are talking about. I think the first time there was violence, no, this was actually the second time there was violence in the presence of a deputy president.
Yes.
Because there was one in Kandara and there was hiccups about avocados and stuff like that. But would you say one is a perpetrator and the others are not perpetrators? Because we are seeing competing interests in Murang'A County.
I would still go back to parenthood.
Okay.
If your father tells you, oh, my son, wait, your time for marriage is not yet, and you keep going to a certain village to woo a girl, then you find that place, there are boys, and you're beaten up. Would you say you are beaten up, or you say it is my indiscipline and not hearing my father? Wisdom teaches a lot.
But you're not the one, are you the one who started the violence?
I'm just giving that, because now, when in such a scenario, even if you are not the one who started the violence, it will be said you're the one who ulienda kuchokoza.
Who are you referring to?
What I'm trying to refer is, DP was told by the president. The president, DP is a second to the president, and DP and the president are joined at the hip.
Yes.
Okay? So if you're joined at the hip, you are Siamese twins. There's no way this twin will leave your hip. So when the DP forces into such things, he forces the presidency, because he's part of the presidency. The president issues a statement: we should not politic. 2022 is not yet. Let's finish this thing. From here, do you know why we have political calendar? Meaning we have election calendar, which also brings the campaign calendar. The campaign calendar is 3 months, and it has a date of start to the date of end, where you have intense lobbying and coercing, whatever you want to do to ensure you win. Right now, we are not in the calendar of election.
We are in the BBI calendar?
Calendar of election is in Kahawa Wendani, Msambweni, and all the other places with the calendars. Okay? And the Gaturi and the other places. So, BBI is not...
Are we in the BBI calendar?
BBI calendar, yes. Because this BBI is a constitutional review. It's not a campaign election calendar. Let's not forget that. You can have even a next term, you can still have another constitutional change. When the president tells you don't do it, then you keep on doing. One is that is insubordination. Secondly, anything wrong that happens wherever you go, you will be the one to blame. Because you are told, please, let's not campaign. You insisted to campaign. You are the one who has done it.
So if I got you right, then what you're saying is, because of this insubordination or a defiance by the deputy president to go against what the president has warned, somebody had to sponsor violence to stop him. Is
not sponsor. He takes the back stops with
No, hold on a minute, because earlier you had blamed the violence
I'm
on
saying, I've given
Hold on, let me ask the question. Earlier you had blamed the violence on Tanga Tanga. Now you're appearing to say that because of insubordination or defiance of the deputy president, this happened as a reaction to the defiance.
No, I didn't say it has happened. I said whatever happened, whether it was on your side or from whichever side.
You will carry the
blame. I'm not saying which side did it. But still, what I refer and I will insist on, the buck stops with him because he's been asked not once, stop campaigning. And since of defiance, whatever happens, the buck stops with him. And for that defiance, I'm waiting for Jubilee. They are wasting time. They
should chuck him out.
Yeah, chuck him out. We go to parliament, remove him, and then we go ahead with our country. And everyone goes home.
What does your party plan to reap from this?
Our party reads nothing. We just don't want indiscipline in this country. This is when we need to change this, and that's why I've been tear gassed many times, just for fighting against indiscipline, indiscipline of so many things. So if the indiscipline continues, he knows the party should remove him by December. By December, then the parliament removes him by March. Then we go for BBI when he's not there.
JJ,
I'm sure the deputy president. Hold on, I'll come to you. I'm sure the deputy president also enjoys a measure of intelligence,
Yes.
courtesy of being in government, because it's obviously probably a system that is a little bit loyal to him from what is remaining of this government that is Jubilee. Probably, if the violence was planned to stop him, as you claim, he was aware that that violence was planned. What was the most reasonable thing to do? Was it to cancel the fundraiser, or go to a place where you already are assured of violence, and then unfortunately violence that costs lives?
Don't cancel. Go to a hotel and do your fundraiser.
Let him respond.
After all, it is money.
Let him respond to that.
Before I come to your question, JJ, there are things that I will not allow to escape. One, there was an issue about how people are ferried to Keno. There's no time that I boarded a matatu and the tout asked me, wherever you're going, destination X, what are you going to do? There is no single time I was asked such a question. So I don't know what means
come out to be tricky, because those buses ferried people to Keno.
Yes.
Yes.
And for your information, they apply that.
And not passers-by.
No,
people who are specifically
going to Keno.
To Keno.
Yes, they have a stage in Keno. So they apply that route from Nairobi to Keno. I want to suppose you know that. So when people boarded, the conductor...
Even guys in T-shirts?
Yes.
They were also being ferried to Keno?
Yes. It was not the business of the conductor, the driver, to know what they were going to do.
Wow.
Because the conductor and the driver are in business.
Isn't that a very convenient political argument?
No, this is a fact. They're in business. The other thing, JJ,
okay.
in the recent past, we had when the DP had visited Kakamega and Kisii, did he also and his team sponsor the same?
Yeah, there was violence in Kisii.
So he also sponsored the same. That is a big question that my friends here should answer. The other thing, I'm well aware that Eric is a senior member of the ODM. ODM today enjoys some perk in government after disturbing peace.
They are beneficiaries of violence.
They are beneficiaries of violence, and they are here trying to lecture us on indiscipline.
Okay.
It's very sad.
That one is laughable. Thank you.
It's very sad.
You didn't see that coming, Eric, did you?
Thank you. I'll answer that. Okay.
Back to the DP.
Yes.
The DP being one of the members of the National Intelligence Service.
National Security Committee.
Yeah, National Security Committee. I'm well aware that there's a possibility he was aware of what was going to turn out, or maybe what was going to happen in Keno. And the best thing, I want to fault his advisors if he has any. The best thing would have been to cancel.
Okay.
Instead of going and getting ugly incidences, which to a large extent are tainting his image. And you will not want such things to going into electioneering period. You will not want.
Kamau, I know you were itching to speak about churches, because churches are also let down when it comes to this. But let me give Ragalo a right to reply because of his party and being a senior member has been mentioned. Very good to churches, very quickly. Your response?
As a member
that
of
ODM is a beneficiary of violence?
As a member of ODM, we've not gone to the street as ODM. We always go to the street as aggrieved parties. Aggrieved party means we know Wiper is always there with us. Musalia Mudavadi is Amani, Ford Kenya, and any other party. Even civil societies come in.
Musalia only came once.
Okay, he came once. Even other civil societies come in. And we always have a reason of going to the street. And the reason is always communicated. We are going to the streets because we are not happy because of this and this. We've communicated to the relevant authority. They are not listening. So we've decided to go to the street so that we go to...
Does that include stabbing hawkers?
Stabbing hawkers?
Yeah.
So hawkers were just stabbed? Let me now teach you something about demonstration. When you guys are demonstrating, there will always be, and I will say, I don't want to say it as a must that it has to be. You are a group of people, you start like 10, 20. Then all of a sudden you look behind, you are hundreds. people just join in.
The demonstrations,
So-
either way, Eric Ragalo, end up in violence.
They end up in violence, especially when.
But you're saying they were
when
justified because
there
it's a
were
reason.
always violence, not us against us. You see, this in Murang'A was Kenyans against Kenyans. This
And
violence were always the authorities with the demonstrators. Didn't you see water cannons? Who had water cannons? Who did you see?
But you also tear gas. You also saw tear gas in Kenya.
Huh?
You also saw tear gas in
Yes,
Kenya.
you saw tear gas after. Do you want to tell me after they had started it on their own? A 15-year-old being killed, surely. And now the question you asked before he comes in, because you may not bring it back to me. Of course, there was a church service. Of course, there was a harambe done. After all that and dusted, can't this church call a press conference? This same church. Is it so expensive to do a press conference?
Okay.
I can call for them.
I don't know whether the AIPC is going to call a press conference.
No, I will call for them. And then I will pay for them, the press conference. Because what I'm wondering is they should call a press conference, condemn that this was a godly time and we are not happy with what happened. And they should say something. I mean, condemn violence. As a church, you didn't condemn, even up to now. Do you know Wednesday is long time? They should have done it as immediate as the next
Maybe
day.
probably the church has taken a position as regards the
They have
political
not taken, we
succession.
should have read that. That is one. Two,
Yes.
after all that is said and done, how should churches do the harambe? Can they do it as Muslims do it? And even the temple of Indians do it? Must we Christians do harambes, not only now that church, all other churches? We do harambes on this, call many people, make noise, PA systems. Can't we do it modestly? Like the way Muslims do. Do you even see Muslims build very big mosques? Have you ever seen the harambe on the street all over? Have you ever seen a temple doing a harambe like we do it? Is our harambe godly, first of all? That question we should ask ourselves, because I don't support such
You know, you
harambes.
ask a question that has an ending. Are harambes godly? And I'm asking you, what is ungodly about our harambes?
Because people die. Look at that harambe. Was that harambe meant to kill persons?
Oh,
Because people have
that one
died.
incident makes harambes ungodly.
That is ungodly because you should not have blood.
I'm asking you, that incident makes harambes ungodly.
Yes.
Okay.
But JJ,
Come on. No. Let me listen to Kamau. Because I know you hold very strong opinions as regards what happened inside the church. Because quite a number of people had very ample time to politic, including the clergy themselves, that morning.
JJ, I would, like I suggested, my two brothers here, this is not time to pointing fingers. My brother, Tanga will only make its way and root themselves into the hearts of people when they learn to own. Ownership is something that goes way. If you
Impregnate.
yes, a girl, and you know it, you did it, say I did it. Now what are the consequences that will face me? By that I say, I'll take you to the Bible.
Example.
In the beginning, the man left the man left the woman to do his own things, and the devil tricked the woman, and they all sinned. Okay, and when it came to the lady, when God asked them what happened, he said the snake, and the man said, this woman you gave me. That is how we started sinning all through.
Yes.
It is upon us, and I'll take this route alone. It is upon us to own. If I've done anything wrong to anybody so far by now, Eric, because you are trying to teach us about demonstration, we are not going to go to that route. We are not going to go to demonstration. We are not going to fight. If I've done anything wrong to anyone, or I said something that has hurt someone, to acquire a way to go and justify their action in people dying and throwing tear gas in my county, I ask for their forgiveness. And I would say it is not upon Kamau to sponsor a violence, and I think that is where we should start on the issue of the church, because the AIPCA, if I know it better, you use the Bible and you read the Bible.
Yes.
To the clergy, that is the question you're asking me. It is upon the management from the top bottom or from bottom up of African Inland Pentecostal Church of Africa to own up on what happened on Sunday. That money is not important as to the life of the Kenyans who lost their lives, right? And I would say, because I know AIPCA is a church of the Jomo Kenyatta. They fought for independence.
Yes.
It is upon them to restore themselves and own what happened. It is upon the Tanga led by Deputy President to own up. It is upon of any other Kieleweke led by whoever. Call it brother, call it, what is this other guy? Minor commander, or whoever, to own up. But this death should not occur and happen in our country.
Fantastic.
Number two, the church in itself. I felt, I was feeling a bit down until the clergy or the clergy in the North Rift side came out today and said, let's not go that route. If you have a brother called Kamau, call Kamau. If you have a brother called Eric, if you have a brother called Tom, whoever, call them by their names. Don't associate them with where they come from. I've told you, in my school, there was water since I was small. That does not make me a dynasty. There are people who don't have water even now. That does not make hustlers. Can we just drop these names, go back to our churches, and talk to the church leadership? If they've lost a way in themselves, they should go back to the praying chambers and ask God for forgiveness, because they've led many astray because of the money that comes in the church. And I don't say, because be it Kileweke, be it Tanga, they all go to church to give money. And when they give that money, these clergies, they what do you call, loyalty pledge to them. So for me, with simple submission, JJ, and I think we should make this a topic for a day. Let's get together as people and move forward together.
And probably we should make it the Friday topic. But very quickly, your reaction towards the church. Ragalo had his. I'm giving you a minute because time is up.
It's very sad that all these things are happening on the altar. Bearing in mind, most of us grew up knowing how important and how holy that place is. It's very unfortunate, and I want to condemn what happened in Keno and other places, and what other people may be planning to do. And I want to urge all the youths out there, let us not go this direction. For a long time, we have been told that we are the leaders of tomorrow. And if we continue being used to kind of orchestrate violence, to disturb peace, I'm pretty sure that tomorrow will not be certain. We will destroy our country and degenerate into something we will not recover from. So young people, let us embrace peace and live together as brothers and sisters.
All right.
Yes.
And thank you very much, all of you, because at the end of the day,
one second.
very quickly,
Very quickly. Violence notwithstanding, we have a Kenya. We've come from COVID situation, which we still have right now. Economically, our country is down.
Yes.
If we go on this way, the shilling was hit at 108. Trust you me, if this go on, the shilling will go to around
pure
115.
economic recession.
Then what will happen? Now, do you know the violence will be within us? Mtu anaingia kwako naiba, unakosa kiatu, unaenda unachukua ya neighbor. That is now will become another violence. If we don't look on how to generate back our economy, and now run around Tanga, Inganu, Keleweke, we are in even deeper trouble. And 2023 will be harder than ever.
All right. Thank you very much. All of you agree on one thing, that we don't need violence. And perhaps we need to redirect the conversation as regards our unity as a country. Probably the biggest question to ask Kamau, Eric Ragalo, and Wanjohi is whether our leaders mean it exactly when they talk about unity in this country. But of course, that's a conversation for another day. Normally, I don't editorialize programs, but today I will. And I address Mwangi Wairia, the governor, Irongo Kangata, the senator, Sabina Chege, the woman rep, Ndindi Nyoro, MP for Kiharu, Peter Kimari, the MP for Kangema, Alice Wahome, MP for Kandara, Mary Wamaua, the MP for Maragua, and Ruth Mwaniki, the MP for Kigumo, Muturi Kigano, the MP for Kangema, and Engineer Peter Nduati, the MP for Gatanga. Sunday was a shame. Shame on you. Provide leadership. That's the end of Taifa Dialogue. See you on Friday. God bless you. Kwaheri.